Am I the a-hole for not letting my ex's husband be added to the school emergency contact list or to give him permission to take my kids to the doctor? I, 29 male, have 2 kids, 8 and 6, with my ex, 29 female. We share physical and legal custody of them, and last year she got married to her husband, Josh, 34 male. From the beginning of their serious relationship, about 3 years ago, Josh has been a real ass to me, and my ex has let it happen and has joined in as well. The very first incident happened when my oldest had a school play, and I was already there when they arrived. Josh asked me why I'd shown up when I knew it was my ex's custody time, and said I knew my kid would have 2 parents there already, which meant he was counting himself as a parent, and he was only dating my ex at the time. I told him my ex and I both show up regardless of who has custody that week, and the judge and mediator encouraged us to do this. Josh said I was unnecessary. Another time I went to the exchange to pick up my kids, and Josh was holding my youngest and tried to tell me my kid wanted to stay with him, even as my kid was reaching for me. My ex made him hand our child over, because I told her I would be documenting incidents going forward, since it looked like we were going to have big problems. Josh accused me of being jealous, when all I wanted was to take my kids with me like I was legally entitled to. I also documented this and other incidents moving forward. Then, when my youngest had a birthday party thrown by my ex's parents and they invited me, Josh told me I must be desperate to show up where I'm not really wanted. I told him if nobody wanted me there, why was I invited? He started to say something about besides the kids, but then I guess he didn't want to say they were nobody. He was glaring pretty hard when the kids were all about having me there and didn't want him stepping in and taking over. By the time they got married, I had over 30 incidents documented, and I had taken my ex back to court over the issues. I presented a case showing signs of potential alienation and also interference in the legal custody order. The judge warned my ex that Josh's behavior could cost her custody if she wasn't careful, so Josh was no longer present during exchanges. There were still texts from Josh that I had to document and save, because he was still saying things he shouldn't be. Not in direct violation, but getting very close to it. I couldn't block him because communication needed to be open in case something happened, and my ex couldn't get in touch with me. The good part is, I didn't need to answer unless it was an emergency, and I didn't reply to those texts. Then my ex took me to court and wanted Josh to be granted guardianship of our kids. She made the argument that he was equally as involved as us, but did not have the same legal rights. She said it would be simpler if he could take them to the doctor without us, sign them up for stuff without needing our permission. She said as a step-parent, he was filling the role of a parent but did not have all the abilities we did. She also mentioned the ability for him to make decisions in case of an accident. The judge refused to grant the guardianship request. She told my ex that, given our past and given our kids had 2 active parents, it was not necessary to give him all that legal access. She also made it so I was not obligated to give permissions like that. She said the same would apply if I were to marry. My wife would not automatically have those permissions either. My ex asked if that included the emergency contact list at school, and the judge said yes, that included the emergency contact at school. That brings us to now. My ex wanted me to consent to the full decision-making and permissions anyway. Josh was never added to the emergency contact list. School requires the consent of both parents. So our kids have my ex, then me, then my mom and dad, and then her mom and dad as their emergency contacts. I also did not give permission for Josh to take the kids to the doctor alone. My ex and Josh weren't happy when I refused to allow it. I told my ex I was not going to open the door for Josh to claim I gave him those rights because I didn't care about being a dad, or because I wanted to shirk my responsibility as a dad. And I can see him using those permissions to engage in more alienation, or to have a way of using it to make me look bad. I could also see it becoming an issue if he uses it to try and push me out. I would rather prevent it before it can start happening. My ex has argued that I'm not putting the kids first, and I'm letting adult issues come between them and Josh. She said they deserve to have the love of both dads in their lives, and that allowing Josh to care for them as we do when he's going to be around for the rest of their lives is the only right thing. She said otherwise the kids will grow up seeing him as just her husband and not as their parent, and she mentioned how that's already happening. But she said they have two men filling the role, and only one who gets the love and affection from them for it. I don't think it would be the right thing under these circumstances. Legally, I'm covered. But morally, am I wrong here? Am I letting my issues with Josh and my ex make me not think of my kids first? That's why I'm asking. Am I the a-hole? Now for the top comments. If the relationship was less consistently hostile, this would be a more reasonable request to consider. Your fears are justified considering Josh's past behaviors. Yeah, it would be so different if things were civil or friendly, or simply there was no history of bad behavior. But it's still an ongoing issue. And knowing how Josh feels about me and my presence in the lives of my kids, I feel like giving him permission to do the things they're asking is like giving him more ammo to use. It shouldn't be that way, but that's how I'm seeing it. The judge denied her request for a reason. Your concerns about alienation and manipulation are completely valid. Being a step-parent doesn't automatically grant parental rights, and given his history, he absolutely should not have them. A big, huge, enormous not the a-hole. He showed his true colors already. What if your ex decides to get divorced and get another guy? Then give him legal authority too? No. You are an active parent and ex plus Josh were both annoying to you. Especially Josh had clear intentions to alienate from the start and ex joined in. Wouldn't trust him ever. Josh is a fool, by the way. He showed his true colors too early. That's a very valid point, and an especially valid point when she was looking for him to have guardianship. Their divorce would not end that. So what would we do? Split equal custody between the three of us? Josh couldn't hide them. I don't know whether he's the insecure and jealous one or what, but I question if a woman with kids who have an involved dad was the right relationship for him. Dude sounds a little unhinged. Watch your back, OP. Do continue to document everything. Do you have security cameras at your house and on your vehicle? It seems as if your ex-wife was pressured by him, and that's where she's coming up with all of these changes as he's trying to edge you out. Projecting jealousy like that will kill anything. He also might be attempting to poison your children against you. Is your ex agreeable to putting them into therapy? If so, it wouldn't hurt trying to nip this in the bud before it gets any bigger. Good luck, OP. Yes, my home and car have security cameras. Actually, all of my neighbors have them as well. I don't think she'll agree to therapy, but I am looking into it. Next story. Am I the a-hole for not standing up for my pregnant fiancé who ate my daughter's cupcake? This happened this morning, and I'm so upset I don't know what to do. I, 36 male, have been with my fiancé, 33 female, for 3 years. I have a 10-year-old daughter from my previous marriage. Her mother passed away when she was 2.5. My fiancé is currently pregnant. Yesterday, my daughter asked me to buy a giant cupcake from a bakery near my work. She wanted to take it to school to surprise her friend for their birthday. I also bought an extra cupcake for my fiancé. She devoured hers right away. My daughter was really excited and put a nice ribbon around the box before leaving it in the fridge to take to school in the morning. Apparently, my fiancé craved it in the middle of the night and ate the other cupcake. This morning, my daughter woke up to a big, disappointing surprise. She started crying and screaming. I asked my fiancé why she did that, and she said her craving was so bad she couldn't sleep. Then she yelled, "It's called being pregnant, jerks." My daughter screamed that she hates her and the baby already. I told her, I'll buy another one today and maybe drop it off so you can give it to your friend after school. She said, "Don't bother." Later, my fiancé texted me saying she's upset that I didn't stand up for her when my daughter was mean and that my daughter and I owe her an apology. I'm sitting in my car wondering what the heck to do. Was I an a-hole for not standing up for her? I feel lost. It was clear the cupcake was for your daughter and her friend. Even if you're craving, you don't take things that are someone else's, especially from a literal child. She also could have offered to buy a replacement cupcake herself, but didn't, and insisted your daughter was the jerk. Sure, there are cravings, and there's also self-restraint. She took candy from a baby and wonders why it's crying. She even had her own, so fiancé got two and daughter's friend got none. Daughter was never even going to get one. That's even worse. OP, I would still bring a cupcake for daughter's friend, and maybe also daughter, to school today. She was hurt and angry in the moment, but I think she would still appreciate it. Put a bow on both boxes, not the a-hole. The only one whom owes anyone an apology is your fiancé. Yeah, she literally called a child a jerk for being upset that she ate something the girl had been looking forward to. I did not read where she apologized at all for eating it. There are some major red flags here, and I feel like she does not care for this girl at all. Her feelings do not matter to this woman. I totally get prego cravings and being fat AF cravings, but she should have been up at the crack of dawn to replace it and apologized for having eaten it. And she should have done everything she could not to eat it. She is using the pregnancy to be herself. Some women behave as if they're the princess of the universe upon being impregnated. They're the main character. Everything has to revolve around their every need. My ex-wife was one of those types. Ex-wife. Next story. Am I the a-hole for thinking it's pathetic that my ex-wife's affair partner couldn't even afford to pay for her tombstone? Almost 13 years ago, my then-wife had an affair with a co-worker. She came clean to me about a few one-night stands she had with him after the fact. At that time, we had our 2 children. Our son was about to be 6 and our daughter was only 3. I left her outright and refused to entertain any form of reconciliation. I was partially vindicated when she went back to her co-worker and started a relationship with him. I will never respect this man and hate him to this day. At the very least, he isn't a drunk or some abuser as far as I can tell. The only issue I have with him is the obvious cheating and his poor financial habits. Her health situation worsened, and during 2016 she discovered her cancer. I'll give this guy credit though. He stuck around and took care of her all the way to the end. But deep down, some part of me is counting down the days until he finds another woman to be involved with. She passed last year due to complications, and I had to listen to the drivel of her being such a good person and outstanding mother. I don't agree. She wasn't infallible, nor was she such a morally good individual, but they can choose to believe what they want. The anniversary of her passing is in a few months, and her parents, my children and the other man, want to do a custom headstone to replace the more generic one on her plot. Her parents are retired and, as such, have limited funds, and my children are still in college and high school, so it was assumed that he would pick up the tab. Turns out, he blew his money on impulse purchases, and I had to step in to actually pay the people doing this job. I confronted him and called him a scatterbrain and a disappointment. I don't understand how someone uses the money for their dead on whatever the heck he used it for. Now he's apparently sad and feeling remorseful according to my children, but I am not apologizing to this guy. He's really starting to irritate me with this, but maybe I went too far. Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole. Your marriage ended 13 years ago when they had the affair. He is fully responsible for her burial and headstone. Yeah, he prioritized frivolous purchases over honoring his partner's memory. I can't call you an a-hole over this, but you should stay out of it. I fully agree with you that this guy is a real a-hole. The difference is that she's no longer your wife, and this is between her low-life, good-for-nothing partner and her parents. You should not be involved with this at all. Leave it to her family to worry about. The kids will understand why you did not pay for a marker once they are old enough. This is not something you should be expected to be involved in. We can assume he did this so his children are happy. OP is not the a-hole because he is allowed to tell this guy that he is a disappointment for blowing money meant for the grave, etc. You can tell the person that they did wrong, but still help. My father would have done something like this as well. Not the a-hole, but get some therapy, my guy. This level of anger after 13 years and a death can't be good for you. You know what? People don't need therapy for every freaking thing. Some people act like bitterness and sorrow is something you just bam get over with in these situations. When people cheat and break up families, it destroys and does horrible damage. The effects are for years and years. That can stick for a very long time. I think it is normal to have ill will to someone who literally tore your life apart. Last story. Am I the a-hole for challenging my stepdad and winning? I, 19 female, live with my mom and stepdad, who got married 3 years ago. My mom is amazing, but my stepdad, Eric, is one of those people who always needs to be right. He'll argue over the dumbest things, like how to pronounce pecan or whether a hot dog is a sandwich. Last week, we had family over for dinner, and my mom made her famous lasagna. It's her thing, like people beg for it at Thanksgiving. Eric, as usual, was in one of his moods and started talking about how he was the real chef in the house. I was already rolling my eyes internally, but then he said, "Honestly, I should have made the lasagna tonight. I could have done it way better." I laughed, out loud, probably louder than I meant to. He shot me this look, like I'd just insulted his entire ancestry. He got real serious and said, "You don't even know how to cook. You're a kid. You'd burn water if you tried." Now this is where I might have messed up. Instead of letting it go, I said, "Oh yeah? If you're so confident, how about a lasagna off?" I thought it was a joke. But my mom, bless her soul, immediately jumped in and was like, "That's actually a great idea. Let's do it this weekend." So Saturday rolls around and we each make our own lasagna. Mine, I crushed it. My mom even helped a little, but I mostly did it myself. Eric, on the other hand, got cocky and decided to improvise his recipe, adding weird stuff like barbecue sauce and mushrooms. Who even does that? When we did a blind taste test with a family, mine won unanimously. Eric was furious. He accused me of cheating, saying my mom must have helped way more than she admitted. He even said the family was biased against him. My mom told him to chill, but he stormed out of the room. Later, my stepbrother texted me, saying I humiliated his dad and should have just let him win. He said I was being immature and that I should apologize. But like, why? It's not my fault he's a sore loser, right? So, am I the a-hole? Not the a-hole. Sometimes insecure people have to be the best. If they get humiliated in a fair contest, then they deserve to be humiliated. Emotionally immature people tend to be sore losers and blame other people for their shortcomings. I would be very wary of him in the future. He is going to take every opportunity to attempt to humiliate you and make you suffer in the future. He is not going to let this go. That comment nailed it. Your stepdad's ego couldn't handle a fair loss, and now he's lashing out like a kid who lost at Mario Kart. You didn't humiliate him. He did that to himself by talking big and then flopping. And now he's doubling down instead of just taking the L like an adult? Be careful around him, because if he's this petty over lasagna, he's definitely the type to hold a grudge over nothing. Who the heck puts barbecue sauce and mushrooms in a lasagna, especially someone who touts themselves to be a great chef? Would belly laugh that guy out of the room. Not the barbecue sauce, but finely chopped mushrooms are great in the meat sauce.